I've been a liberal my whole life. I have been an active liberal, card-carrying member of the ACLU, donating to Planned Parenthood, attended numerous rallies and marches, even in high school. I often was rallying at the courthouse. I've always been a liberal. And I am deeply concerned about how the left is embracing a hateful and quite scary narrative. It has been slowly building, and perhaps it has been around for a long time, and I just noticed it because I started saying things that the left didn't agree with, or perhaps it's new. I'm not sure, but I feel like the anger and the attempts to vilify anyone who doesn't agree with the left have been increasing. I first noticed it when someone accused me of being a victim shamer during the Kavanaugh hearing. So I was called a misogynist, a victim shamer, a sexist. I was told that I had internalized sexism.
People would say I was from the far right and say things like, amazing how she converted so quickly, such a short time ago, to the forced breed side. She was never one of us in the first place, and certainly not a liberal, and use that term only to cover up such nefariousness.
As I've taken stances on various issues that to me are issues that liberals should be concerned about, such as children getting medically transitioned before the age of 18, having their bodies permanently altered by cosmetic surgery.
I received threats of violence and suggestions that I should lose my housing and my job as a result of comments that I made in which I suggested that we needed to be careful to make sure that the LGBT community and the rest of society does not accept the objectification and sexualization of young children.
That this seems like an issue that the liberals should be very concerned about. It's about protecting children, and that is sort of one of the hallmarks of liberal ideal, is to protect those who can't protect themselves, and fundamentally that is children. So when the Covington Catholic school boys have been vilified to the point where people have suggested that they should be killed, I don't recognize the left anymore. It has become something unrecognizable.
Best-selling author Risa Aslan tweeted that the high school junior had a punchable face. Former Democratic Party chief Howard Dean opined that Covington Catholic is a hate factory. GQ's Nathan Friedman urged people to dox them all, i.e., make their personal information public. They say things like, I hate it when people say that Trump is still your president. Trump chooses to be president for a few select who do not have the same ideals as me, a select few who condone racism, misogyny, and the undermining of our democracy in favor of fascism. So until we get a real president that is for all Americans, I will never say, Trump is my president. In other words, if you agree with Trump, you're a misogynist, a racist, and ultimately a fascist. They say things like, people aren't racist because they lack education or intelligence. They're racist because being racist makes them feel good. The solution is not education, but to make racism so socially unacceptable and harshly punished that being racist makes your life fucking miserable. And then they go ahead and label anybody that they disagree with as racist.
In fact, it has become the very thing that liberals have always advocated against.
I can't believe people are saying things like, Make America Great Again is a terrorist movement, spreading via the active grooming of baby Hitlers, an army of incels finding refuge in the labs of Christian extremist leaders with hard-ons for hate. This strain of Christo-fascism cannot be reasoned with. You cannot go high with human sewage. They are using the label of fascism in such an incredibly fascist way. They are saying that anybody who doesn't agree with them is a fascist.
I am mortified by the kinds of images and comments that I hear coming from people on the left.
Blue Lives Matter is a racist reaction to Black Lives Matter movement against police brutality and the murder of young black men and women. It holds that the lives of unarmed black men and women are worth less than the cops who murder them in cold blood. It has been adopted by white supremacists everywhere. Yet this racist expression and its symbol have also been adopted by law enforcement agencies across the country. It should be no surprise, then, why cops defend Nazis and attack, harass, assault, and kill those of us standing against them.
A number of people have been saying that because the boys were wearing MAGA hats, they deserved whatever they got. Because many people are suggesting that a Make America Great Again hat is equivalent to wearing a swastika or a Ku Klux Klan hood.
Aaron, those boys are not deemed villains because they are white and privileged. They are deemed villains because they are wearing a red MAGA hat. Those hats and all they represent, racism, intolerance, ignorance, sexism, treason, immorality, corruption, deceit, that's what's causing the left's knee-jerk reaction, like wearing a swastika on your arm. People assume things about you. Perhaps if the boys had thought a little harder before they got dressed for this event, they wouldn't have gotten in so much hot water.
This is patently false, and it is horrifying that people are suggesting that these children are white supremacists and therefore deserve whatever horrible things happen to them. This sounds so much like victim shaming, like suggesting that if a woman wears a short skirt, she deserves to be raped because she was asking for it by wearing a short skirt. That's exactly what these people are saying, is that these boys, because they were wearing a Make America Great Again hat, deserved whatever abuse came their way. This is not a liberal ideal. This is a hateful, vilifying, insidious way of thinking that is potentially going to, it's going to cause the left to implode, is what it's going to do. Boys are being attacked for being white. Simply because they are white. We're being told that white supremacists and Nazis are defending them. That someone like me, who is about as far from being a Nazi as you could be, is actually a white supremacist because I'm defending these boys. Many of these images are portraying swastikas and suggesting that these boys were taunting the Native American, and that's not true. I'm seeing things like, these are hateful and privileged children, that colleges should reject their applications.
There's your white privilege right there. The kid is nasty little twerp being dragged up to disrespect anyone who stands in the way of their prolonged hold over the USA.
They're suggesting that this boy had a smile that is a smile of the white patriarchy.
Nick Sandman is a miserable child with no moral compass who will grow up to be a disgrace of a man. How dare you stand there with this disrespectful smirk? Because he knows he will get away with it. Because he is a white body.
That just because of his smile, he is clearly a white supremacist. He is clearly part of the patriarchy.
I have seen this post over and over and over on my social media accounts. It says, I admit I jumped the gun when I said those MAGA kids should have their lives ruined. Now that more information about these students and their school has come to light, I believe their families should also have their lives ruined, and Covington Catholic School should be bulldozed to the ground.
This post says, I wish boys and young men of color got the same kind of grace and calls for gentleness that I'm hearing people call for with these white kids that are displaying some of the most vile behavior imaginable. So what is concerning me is the fact that people are saying that a Make America Great Again hat is a sign of Nazism. There are posts that are saying, this isn't just a hat, it's a symbol. It means you support xenophobia and deny science. It says, I don't know or care about constitutional norms or the role America plays in the hard world. I support a man who acts like a criminal, a traitor, and a racist, but I don't care. The Alyssa Milano is suggesting that this hat is now the symbol of the Ku Klux Klan. That that anyone who wears a hat like this is actually showing that they're a white supremacist or a Nazi. People are suggesting that, yeah, you get the idea. It's really, it's disturbing to me that the left has embraced this attitude and that people on the left are defending this reaction. Instead of standing up and saying, wait a minute, it's not okay to treat children like this. Wait a minute, wearing a Make America Great Again hat is not a Nazi symbol. They're saying, they're doubling down, and at the very least they might be saying, well, that's what the right has been doing all along. The difference is that people on the right don't defend Nazis. The difference is that people on the right don't defend the far right when it does something heinous. Somehow, the left has decided that they're going to stand up and defend the idea that anyone who wears a Make America Great Again hat deserves to be threatened and abused and harassed. We've gotten to a point where I don't even recognize the left. The left is supposed to stand for the good, the tolerant, the ones who stand up to defend people who can't defend themselves. They're the ones who are supposed to stand up and defend children and point out when society's gone wrong. They have abdicated that role to hatred. They have embraced hatred with such a firm grasp that they don't even realize how hard they're holding on to it. They have lost any moral authority they claim to have. Somehow, the left has to either reject this hatefulness. There are liberals like me who still want to consider ourselves liberal, but we don't even know what to call ourselves anymore.
This person denied that people like me are leaving the Democratic Party, are no longer identifying as the left. They say, people are not leaving the Dem Party. That is completely fabricated. You are the only person who has made this political. And that's just not true. People like me are leaving because we are being attacked and called fascist and Nazis and misogynists and bigots when we try to raise concerns about the behavior of those on the left.
We are what liberalism used to be about.
Tolerance, accepting others as they are, accepting different views of other people, fairness towards people who hold different views. That is what liberalism is about. That is what the Democratic Party and what the left used to stand for.
The reason that Donald Trump was elected, it isn't because there are a bunch of idiots and white nationalists and Nazis who voted him into office. The reason Donald Trump won is because people, normal, everyday people, are tired of the left branding them as extremists, as haters, as misogynists and bigots and racists and sexists. We are tired of the left suggesting that if we don't agree with you, we are Nazis. That is beyond offensive. And I refuse to affiliate with a party that is unwilling to call this into question. If you really are a liberal, it is your job to stand up and call people out on this kind of behavior.
We need to let people know that it is not okay to say things like, I don't know what it says about me, but I've truly lost the ability to articulate the hysterical rage, nausea, and heartache this makes me feel. I just want these people to die. Simple as that. Every single one of them, and their parents. We need to be strong and stand up and say, no, this is not okay. It is not okay to suggest that people should die based on their views. Views which the left has said are fascist and Nazi views, but they aren't. And we cannot let the left win and keep suggesting that people who disagree with them are evil and Nazis and bigots and deserve to die.
We do not get to call people who disagree with us Nazis simply because they disagree with us. Their views may be different from ours, but their views are valid, and they get to have those views without being branded a Nazi. This is like the worst kind of extremism possible. Anybody who believes that they are liberal, anybody who holds on to liberal ideals must stand up and say enough. Enough of the left labeling anybody who doesn't agree with them as a Nazi or a bigot or a racist or a sexist or a transphobe. I'm not willing to allow you to suggest that I am a Nazi merely for supporting people who support the president. Merely for suggesting that they are not stupid, that they are not white supremacists, that they are not bigots. They do not get to define us. They do not get to define anybody who is not on their side as evil and villainous and deserving of harassment. This is not what liberalism is about. And it's time that we stand up and say enough.